So let's jump right into it. So our first article comes to us from Yahoo News, Yahoo Finance, and this is the biggest money challenges for families, entrepreneurs, and their families in 2023. So, one of the factors that we've been talking about is family savings rates have been disappearing. They increased during the pandemic, and now they've been, going down, unfortunately. And at the same time, debt has been rising, not necessarily debt to start a new business or grow your business, but more of just debt to make ends meet, to pay for different things, and that's tough. So that's kind of the bad trend. Savings accounts going down, bad debt going up. And then we've got, at the same time, a lot of families' net worths took a tumble in 2022 because we saw stocks, especially if you were in tech stocks. You were down 20, 30, 40%, especially if you were in tech stocks. So if your net worth was in the stock market, probably went down. Even bonds had a really bad run there, which are supposed to be safer. And real estate, for the most part, it kind of depended on where you were invested. But overall, it looks like the trend was negative in 2022 for most real estate values, especially if you were invested in more expensive properties or houses. If you were in multifamily, I think you were probably okay. And certain Airbnb properties in the right areas, they seem to hold their value. But overall, real estate values dipped. And so people who have their net worth in real estate stocks most likely saw that decrease quite a bit in 2022. And so coming into 2023, entrepreneurs, business owners, their savings have gone down, expenses have gone up, inflation's still high. And so what we want to talk about is, so what do you do to get back on track? Because, I don't always agree with everything Jim Cramer you ever seen the Money guy on CNBC, and he's loud and he's obnoxious and he's entertaining. He does a good job. But oftentimes he'll literally say things like, I remember in the 08-09, like he literally was telling people to do the wrong things. And a year later it was like, and he literally came out and he was so sorry and he apologized. And I think the same things kind of happened in 2022. And so, but one of the things he does say that I agree with him is there's always a bull market somewhere. And regardless of where you're at, a lot of the best businesses will grow, will take market share during a slowdown, during a 2023 that we might be facing here. So what are we doing to make sure that doesn't happen to our business, and what should other business owners be doing to make sure their business is growing? Mr. Talbot, what should they be working on?
Yeah, to kind of break it down and talk about it, say for the stock market, looking at the stock market as an example, one of the more elementary pieces of advice someone will say is, well, you haven't taken a loss until you've sold. But does that mean that I go down with the Titanic? No. You've got to constantly be analyzing your risks and understand, yes, there is no loss until I sell, but if this money just completely disappears, it's an absolute loss. And so with business, I think it's just a matter of constantly staying on top of your market, constantly analyzing your risk, constantly talking to your customers, hearing what your customers want, hearing what your customers need, talking to your team members. It's just a matter of maintaining that long-term perspective, but focusing on it one day at a time, and not, you can't run your business in fear, because yes, this might seem scary. Money's disappearing. The housing market's going to, right. A lot of this stuff, you see your net worth dropping, but you can't run your business out of fear. You've got to be overly optimistic.
No question. And unreasonable optimism. One of our values that we've gone on the wall here. Things are tough. Adversities come. No surprise. We know it's coming. We know there's tough times coming. And so being prepared for how you're going to react, what solutions you're going to focus on. One of the things that came to mind just as you were talking about that is the importance of having key performance indicators in your business. And over the last couple of years, you're our COO and you've really built systems and processes. Like, we have so many analytics and reports, but at the crux of all of it is your lead flow, right? It doesn't matter what you're selling, whether it's a product or a service or what business profession you're in, like, people are coming in, traffic's coming in. If you have a store, people are coming into your store. If you have an e-commerce store, Amazon, they're coming to your website or your product listing. If you're in a service business like we are, where we do business financing, then people are coming to you maybe from referral partners, or they're coming to your website. And so you have this data, typically how many leads are coming in. And if you start to see leads disappearing, then you've got to know that on a daily basis. And the problem I think that a lot of business owners do is they do have their head in the sand and they don't really know. And then all of a sudden, 1, 2, 3 months later, they realize, oh my gosh, we haven't gotten any of this type of traffic or this type of lead for a long time. And so, for example, yesterday, you noticed halfway through the day, oh my word, one of our big lead sources is not coming in. And we're like, what in the world's going on? And I went in and I figured out, oh, well, we're still getting the applications. There was a disconnect with Zapier. But if you don't realize those things, like, that's how you actually lose business. So we didn't lose that partner. But if we hadn't realized that, 1, 2, 3 weeks could have gone by, and then we would have jeopardized the entire relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, like you said, I think that's where it comes down to, even in your homes, your investments. It's not just, is it performing, is it not performing? You've got to know those little things that are helping you determine if it's going to perform, right? We know 60 days from right now what our revenue is going to look like because of our lead flow today. And if our lead flow disappears today, then we know how to account for that 60 days from now. So it's a matter of, like you said, getting those performance indicators. But it's not just analytics, right? We can throw out a bunch of random ass numbers that don't mean anything. It's getting those key performance indicators that matter.
And it should be a handful of real key performance indicators. How many people are coming in, how many of them are becoming customers or clients, how many of them are buying your product or service. Of those who are satisfied, are they, giving you a good review, or are they referring it out? And there's this thing, it's funny, on Sunday, I try to do like a family meeting with my 5 kids and my wife every Sunday, and usually I'm like, all right, honey, you go ahead and start it, and she starts it, and then I have this problem of kind of butting in and taking over, and not. So I'm working on that, guys. That's one of my weaknesses. But as we were going through this, I wanted to teach my kids an important lesson at the end of it. And there's this thing called Big Mo. And my kids are like, Dad, what the hell? What's Big Mo? What's Big Mo? And I'm like, Big Mo is momentum. When you build momentum in your business, in your family, in your health, like, it starts to snowball, like that snowball at the top of the mountain there. We've been getting a lot of snow here in Utah, so this is a great metaphor. You get that snowball, and it starts rolling and rolling down the hill. All of a sudden, it starts clumping up, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's the momentum that can build in your business if you build your business the right way. And it happens with happy customers telling other people about the product or service, and happy strategic referral partners. And it can just grow, grow, grow. And all of a sudden, and it happens with social media, and it happens with getting deals and leads coming in organically from 5-star reviews. All these things just start building. And so it's understanding you're maintaining your momentum or you're not. It's the same thing in your health. Like, all of a sudden you have a week, and I've worked out every day this week, and I've stuck to my diet, and I'm making progress, and the scale's getting better, and a month later it's getting better, and then all of a sudden you fall off, right? And you go 2 weeks, and you have this difficulty, and maybe you had baby number 2, and you're like, oh my word, I can't, I'm so tired, I can't do anything. I've been there. But this momentum is real, and so you have to put momentum to work and know if you've got it, or if you don't, how can you get it?
Yeah, what are your strategies or your advice for someone that feels like they've had such killer momentum, maintained it for so long, slipped out of a habit, and it's like, oh my gosh, that was so much work, I'm never going to get back to that? What's your advice on?
It's again the micro goals. It's the take it one game at a time. It's take it one day at a time. And for me, it comes back to the schedule. Most of the time, when I lose track of where I'm trying to get to, I might even have the goals written down, but in my schedule, I'm not actually doing the activities that are going to help me achieve those goals. So if it's fitness, I know that when I get out of bed, if I don't work out in the morning, by the end of the day, it's not happening. So I've got to get that workout in the morning. If it's, reading or listening to a podcast, it's putting it in my schedule. If it's something where I know that if I get stuck in all the little busy stuff and my time gets hijacked, if you will, from problems coming in, then I'm not actually bringing in more deals to the business. I've got to have non-negotiable, all right, during this time, I'm going to work on whatever your role is in the business, generating more clients or creating, some content or meeting with more partners or reaching out and doing that virtual events. All those little things, it comes down to what are you doing daily? And if you just focus on, there's this great book that just came out by Ed Milet. It's called One More. And it's this cool concept where he's like, his dad, he had a tough childhood. His dad was an alcoholic for a lot of his childhood. And so when he was about 16, 17, all of a sudden his dad had this big moment. And he's like, I am done with alcohol. It has been hijacking my life. And, it was affecting his children, his wife, everything. And so he's like, I'm going to, really try to clean up on that. And so, about a week in, little Ed goes to his dad. He's like, Dad, are you really going to stop drinking and get your life in order? And he's like, son, I don't know. Well, I'm going to try and do it one more day. And so that was his thing, one more day, one more day. And so Ed took this awesome lesson that his dad taught him, and his dad was able to stay sober for the rest of his life. And he just recently passed away, and Ed wrote this book. And so Ed kind of incorporated that into his life. At 5 o'clock, where everybody, leaves, he's like, I'm going to make one more phone call. In the gym where, he's tired and he's beat up, I'm going to, do one more rep. When he wakes up in the morning, he's too tired to, do the next thing he needs to do. I'm going to do it one more time. So he had this one more focus, and that led to great success. So these little values and principles that you implement in your life really can make a difference. And at the end of the day, when you're not here, if your kids, if your team, if your community learned those things, then that's where a legacy can really make a difference in a lot of people's lives.
No, I love it. I think that's a great concept because we always have enough left in the tank for one more. Sometimes I hear this whole Grant Cardone thing. It's like 10X, 10X, 10X. I'm like, I can't do 10 more reps. I can't do 10 more this. I don't have it in me, but we always have it in us for one more.
Exactly. And that's doable, right? One more call, one more appointment. But it is, if you don't have your calendar and your schedule in order, then it's so easy as a business owner. This, right? You're sitting in there and people just keep streaming in, and they come in, and it's so easy to get your time hijacked as a business owner. So you just have to have periods in your day where, hey guys, I can't talk to you right now. This is non-negotiable time that I've got to work on this new project, or I've got to work on this new implementation in our system or process, or new marketing, or new whatever it is. And so if you have those things, then you're proactively taking action, working on your business instead of always working in it. And you'll go from putting out fires. And so a lot of that also is delegation. You have to be able to delegate so that you're working on the $100 per hour stuff and your team is working on the other items, that they can take that pressure off your plate.
Yeah, delegate and know your skill set. That's something that I've had to really work on over the last year, is understanding I am not good at design. I can sit and play with a design, get on Canva, whatever, and play with it for 3 hours, and it still looks very okay. I send something to someone that's good at design, and in 10 minutes, they've created something better than me. So knowing and accepting your current skill sets. If I want to work on it, I'll go work on it, great. But right now, it costs our business more money by having me sit and spending 3 hours on a stupid flyer.
Pay someone at Fiverr, bring someone on your team who's good at that, and let them do what they're good at. And that's what's great about being a business owner. You should not be the best at everything. You should be bringing in more capable people who are better at something than you are. And that's where the growth happens in a business. Not that you're trying to do everything and that you're the best at everything. If that's the way it is, that's a real problem. All right, guys, so those are some of the challenges that entrepreneurs and their families are facing in 2023, but we talked a lot about some of those solutions. So implement those things, those schedules, those key performance indicators, and focusing on doing what you do well, and having your team delegating out those tasks so that they, or just a contractor, someone at Fiverr, paying them $100 to do something and that they can do well, that they do every day, and not wasting multiple hours of your day doing it. That is a great exchange. That's what capitalism is built upon.